Kia ora, my name's Ian Wards. I'm Senior Curator at Wellington Museum. Come on down to Fat Freddy's Drop exhibition, it's pretty cool. We've had a fun time putting it together and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so Fat Freddy's Drop didn't begin based on a true story, of course. There was a long lead into that, into them making that album. DJ Moo had been a DJ in Wellington for at least 10, 12 or so years before this album came out. And so all the musicians in Freddy's were seasoned musicians by the time they came to making this album. In the 90s in Wellington, there's a really strong rave culture. There were lots of DJs. DJ was king. And Moo initially started out bringing a few musicians into his DJ sets, but a roots reggae track only goes for about 3.5 minutes. And by that time the musicians got up and running, the track ends. So that's when he moved on to the MPC, the MIDI Production Centre, and that's when what became Fat Freddy's began to crystallise. So just to acknowledge the point that Moo was a DJ before he was the controller of the MPC, the sampler, the drum machine in Fat Freddy's Drop. He was a seasoned DJ, and that's why we have some decks from the time, some Technics 1200s, just to acknowledge that part of the musical journey in Wellington and the musical journey that Moo had at the time. But of course, the centrepiece of the exhibition is the MPC itself, the Akai MIDI Production Centre, and this is the heart of Fat Freddy's Drop. And on the wall and behind you can see the band making the album. These are images taken by Ans Wester, Amelia Hanscom-Lang and a few other people. One thing about Fat Freddy's is they're incredibly well documented. At the time, everyone knew that this was something special that they were making. And there's fantastic documentary footage in the exhibition, audio-visual footage and also photography as well. But yeah, the MPC was the heart of the Freddy's experience. It just meant that they could do long jams and run for about 20 minutes or so. And even if the band kind of collapsed a bit on stage, the MPC would still be chugging along. It was a really reliable piece of technology. One part about the band is that they have a really strong visual presence. Dallas Tamaira and Michelle Healy came up with some really cool cartoon characters and also nicknames for the band members, and that's how we introduced the band. Through the exhibition, the band is kind of referred to by their nicknames rather than their real names, and it's part of the fun, family-focused, friendly element of Fat Freddy's. And as you'll see in a moment or two, we've even got a whole chalk wall that kids can colour in based around the Fat Freddy's characters. The music doesn't happen without instruments, and the first track based on a true story, Ernie, there's the iconic keyboard sequence by Ian Gordon, and we have his keyboard here, the Korg Trident 2 from 1982, I remember, from what I recall. And also we have Toby Lang's trumpet on display, and also Warren Maxwell's saxophone Bessie, as well as the various iterations of Based on a True Story that the band laboured over for about over 1.5 years before they finally released the album. And when they released the album, they just released it. I remember at the time there was a real anticipation waiting for this album. Freddy's had already released a couple of singles, Hope for a Generation and Midnight Marauders, and they were amazing and very well received by people in New Zealand, but also in Europe as well. So I remember the anticipation thinking, when the hell are these guys going to get this album finished and out to us? And then finally it was dropped. And I bought a copy of it myself from the first week because I'm a fan. I'm a curator who makes exhibitions, but I'm also a fan. So my copy of the CD is actually on display too. So in the exhibition, it's kind of was an interesting time technology-wise. We were kind of transitioning from analog production, analog photography through to early digital as well. So that's sort of another thing that we touch upon in the exhibition. So we have quite a few props from the Wandering Eye video, particularly the menu board from the fish and chip shops, and also the sandwich board that Joe Lindsay accidentally falls over. The Wandering Eye video was based around Freddy's working in a fish and chip shop Freddy's fish supply, but secretly underground they had a nightclub that people would sneak into later on. It's a really fun video. You can see it online. It's great, and it'll be part of the exhibition too. We've managed to get some of the original things from that exhibition, and also still photography. Various prominent New Zealanders at the time, including John Campbell and Carol Hirschfeld, who made cameo appearances in the video. But it was really fun. We also have the framed, based on a true story album. Now, on this label it says that it was in recognition of the album going 8 times platinum. We figured out only a few weeks ago that the album is now 11 times platinum. So it still sells and is still very popular internationally. And of course, what is a live jamming band without merch? We've got examples of the original T-shirts that were on sale at the time. Fantastic graphic design and print, and also some of the singles, some of the remix singles that were associated with the album as well. And Freddy's being a fairly humble bunch, in their Bay studio that they moved in after recording, couple of years after recording based on a true story. I went there when we first started developing the exhibition, and I just noticed that they had all their awards in the kitchenette up above the sink and everything. So we thought, what better way to show the awards that they won at the New Zealand Music Awards in 2005, 2006, than in a kind of reproduction kitchen environment based around the graphics and the video for Roadie. And here we have Hope Pepper, Joe Lindsay's tracksuit pant, well, one of them. We got dropped off a massive suitcase full of about, 100 pairs of tracksuits. Sarah Hunter, who I've worked with very closely on the exhibition, she says that Joe is notorious for turning up in hotels all over the world, suitcases exploding everywhere. So we had the idea of a funky, grooving tracksuit coming out of a suitcase, and that's why we spent long hours labouring over the mount for Joe's funky tracksuit. And this is just a selection of Ian Gordon, W Blazer's access all area passes. He's got twice as many as this, and this shows gigs from all over Aotearoa and all over the world, particularly through Europe, and it just sort of shows how hard Freddy's have worked as a live band over the last 20 or so years.